I'm here with James Habacker at the Slipper Room in the Lower East Side, and we'd like to find out how the Slipper Room came about, how long it's been here, and what it's all about.
Well, the Slipper Room is a house of variety. It's a theater that's dedicated to burlesque and variety, and we've been on this corner on Orchard Street since 1999. The current iteration of the theater is 4 years old. It was about, I guess, 6 years ago, they knocked the building down. It was a one-story building and built this whole new building, and we got the upper floors, so we're on the second and third floor now. And when we originally set this place up in 1999, I had been doing shows for probably about 4 years in different lofts and private spaces, and also some bars and clubs around the city, mostly places that didn't even have stages. And we decided that we wanted to build a place that was completely dedicated to the variety arts. And I'm the owner of the place and been running it since 1999. I designed the original space. I designed this theater as well. And I also perform in the theater. So it's artist owned. And I think that's a big part of the vibe of the place, is that my wife and I are both performers and have been very involved in supporting the scene, both by giving it a home and also by performing ourselves and helping shape what this scene is all about. Before we opened this place in 1999, there really wasn't a burlesque scene per se in New York. It was just this burgeoning thing that was popping up here and there. But I think the Slipper Room was very instrumental in allowing that to happen, because it gave the scene a home. We started doing shows every night of the week, and so it gave people a venue to be able to perform. And I think just as importantly, it gave people a clubhouse where if they were doing shows somewhere else, or if they were just out and about, that they would end up here. Especially in the early days, there was a very small number of performers who were doing this kind of thing back then, and everybody would hang out here. It was and this is where it would germinate, and then new people would show up all the time and be like, "Oh, I love what you're doing. How do I get involved?" And so it helped grow the scene. I mean, at this point, my list of performers is just the ones who live here in New York alone is close to 200. I mean, it's more people than I could even book. So it's just really taken off, and it's become a worldwide phenomena too. There's scenes all over, cities all over America, and many cities in Europe. So I mean, it kind of coalesced. We don't try to take credit for the whole. Of course, I mean, these things, it's organic, and there was a lot of people involved in it and a lot of different. But I definitely think that the New York scene really did develop here, and the New York scene was one of the earliest and strongest, and it had a great influence on other scenes. I think primarily because the performers I was working with in the early days came out of the performance art scene, the downtown performance art scene, so they were very experimental, open-minded, and just loose and raw. You know, we kept the style very loose, so we never put any restrictions on what people could do. The idea was, come down, do what you feel like doing. And we're not going to give you any restrictions, but we're going to give you encouragement. We're going to give you a space. If you want to get messy, you can get messy. If you want to get naked, you can get naked. If you want to get political, you can get political. So we just kind of allowed people to express themselves, and I think that's what really made the scene so unique.
And the demeanor of this place is very kind of old New Orleans world, kind of cabaret. Did you design it with that in mind?
I definitely have always had a penchant for the old school, for vaudeville and for old New York, the Bowery bars back in the day that you read about in Low Life and Gangs of New York and those kind of books that I read when I was a kid. So it definitely has a bit of a retro flair to it. I mean, the design is very much. Yeah, I would say you're right. New Orleans, also I think like English pub kind of thing, and it's built to be durable. We have hundreds of people through here a night, so it definitely gets trounced, and because it's a very vibrant audience. The audience that we attract are not the kind of people who are just going to be sitting in their seat quietly watching. They get very involved. It's illegitimate theater. right? Which, people think, oh, illegitimate, but that's a technical term, and what it means is that there's no fourth wall. Everybody's part of the show. The MC and a lot of times the performers address the audience directly. We go out into the crowd, work the crowd. So it's a very vibrant and boisterous group that we attract.
Can you give us the name of some of the shows you have here and how many shows a night you have here?
Well, yeah, I mean, it started out with Mr. Chode's Upstairs, Downstairs on Saturday night. We did the one show, and then we kept adding nights, and over the years we got to the point where now I'm producing shows on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we just started to add Sundays. I'm doing a monthly Sunday, so it's Wednesday night is Glitter Gutter, which is our most loose and experimental night. We audition people in that night. I like it to be very variety oriented. Thursday night, Bradford Scobie does Wiggle Room, which is more of like classic comedian and burlesque dancers. He's a real genius, and it's very old school and charming and wonderful. And then we follow that up with Stash Novak's Midnight Fingers, which is, again, pretty out there and experimental and raw. And then on Friday night, we have the Slipper Room show. I don't know what genius came up with that name for the show here at the Slipper Room, right? Back in the day, we used to call it the Hot Box, but I think because of the box, which opened up, another club that opened up on Christie Street a while ago, we dropped the name. We gave it to them. And then we still have Mr. Chode's Upstairs, Downstairs, which I believe is the longest running variety show in New York. We've been doing it since September 11th, 1999. So it's been a while.
That's great. Well, and the address here is?
We are located at 167 Orchard Street, which is the corner of Orchard and Stanton on the Lower East Side. Don't be fooled by the Orchard Street address. The entrance is on Stanton Street. It's a little hard to find. It has just a tiny little entrance. We don't have a big marquee. We kind of like it that way. The Lower East Side, attracts its own crowd, and we attract a different crowd, I think. We've always been a destination location. We first opened down here because there was really nothing down here, and now it's become this huge bar crawl neighborhood.
And the website for?
Our website is www.slipperroom.com, and on there you can see some videos of what we do. You can see the schedule, and you can sign up for our mailing list and get a weekly email blast that'll let you know everything that's going on.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thanks
Thank you.